It's 2020 and politics are finally, after a 3-year-long cricket-dotted silence, back in the national spotlight. The most prominent issue that has received more and more coverage recently is that of the value of the Electoral College. Candidates such as Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Pete Buttigieg had all proposed removing the Electoral College before falling at the hairy legs of your Lord and Savior, Joe Biden. There have been plenty of arguments for and against this controversial institution. Dozens of people have given their support for its merits, but their points have left much to be desired. Here I lay out an exhaustive list of the legitimate benefits of the Electoral College, in order to analyze the system in a more abstract way. Similarly to how the framers should have, arguments based off of the specific conditions in the US will be ignored. Subtractionally, I will waste no time explaining what the Electoral College is in detail or refuting some other points made for and against the institution. Both of those things should be clearly apparent to an educated viewer. Let's get started. Number 1. Agricultural representation. Based on the inevitabilities of population distribution, less populated states will tend to be more agrarian in the aggregate and thus receive disproportionate voting power. The voices of those working in food production, the most important industry concerning the viability of a human society, will be significantly increased. Number 2. Better campaigns. Campaigns can be taxing, and it is impractical to visit different parts of the nation to court the local vote. For example, Richard Nixon's 1960 presidential campaign was crippled, as was his leg, by visiting all 50 states. If he were sane, he would have realized that he only had to visit some important states, which would have made his campaign far more practical and successful. Number 3. Minority representation. In a purely theoretical society where a slight majority of the people almost always voted for one party and a minority voted for the other, the majority would always pick the leader. Proportionally, this would become unfair over time. By enforcing a system that outputs results somewhat independent of popular demand, the leadership may more consistently fluctuate based on askew vote totals in certain states. When the Electoral College makes the loser the winner, it's not a bug, it's a feature. Number 4. Entertainment. 270 to win is fun. An election where the winner wins full stop is boring. As renowned judge Learned Hand once said, the aim of the law is the maximum gratification of the nervous system of man. The ultimate purpose of the government is to increase the potential for happiness, so abolishing the Electoral College would be counterproductive. As sort of a sport-like event, it provides value to the entertainment industry in the form of gambling and news, adding millions of dollars to the US economy annually. Number 5. Faithless electors. Faith Spotted Eagle is a member of the Yankton Sioux Nation who was an activist against the Keystone XL and Dakota Access pipelines. Why do I know that? In 2016, she received a vote for president from a Washington faithless elector who was supposed to vote for Hillary Clinton. Most states have rules about who their electors can vote for. I do not need to tell you that faithless electors are not going to rebel against their state decisions and prevent an unqualified, unstable, or otherwise unfit candidate from becoming president, but they can shine a spotlight on individuals that they think deserve more attention, which is neat. Number 6. Election integrity. Close elections are good for nobody. We need look only backwards 20 years to see the fallout that can result from a close election. Recounts, Supreme Court cases, and national turmoil are not good. With a system where most votes do not matter at all, these situations are more likely to be avoided. By having 51 smaller races instead of one big one, errors are isolated at worst and inconsequential at best. Maintaining election integrity is a lot easier when you only have to pay attention less than half the time. Number 7. Better margins. The overall margin also appears inflated with the Electoral College, leading to a beneficial facade of national unity. For example, Obama won in 2012 with only 51.1% of the actual vote, but 61.7% of the electoral vote. More stunningly, Reagan received over 90% of the Electoral College after winning only 50.7% of the popular vote in 1980. Apparently large margins like these not only make the losers less angry, but they give the winner a mandate, allowing leaders to accomplish more, whatever that may be. Number 8. State spotlight. Some places are very sad and ignored. Just as equal wealth distribution would leave most people unsatisfied and no one happy, equal power distribution would leave no state's people happy, while unequal attention distribution makes some states feel special. Votes are power, and power is money. We are not communists here in America. Number 9. Better turnout. Just like its name suggests, the Electoral College makes the pool of people voting more educated in the aggregate. Voting is not a very easy process, especially for the poor, as these poorer people in non-swing states weigh the advantages of voting against the disadvantages of missing work or time with a child for an hour or two at the polls. They may determine that, because of the Electoral College, their votes do not matter. As a result, the more affluent and thus more educated people will vote more, not affecting the presidential, senatorial, or gubernatorial races much, but possibly swinging the down-ballot House and local elections in favor of the favorite of the more educated and thus more deserving of the victory. For a similar reason, the economy will be bolstered further by decreased turnout, not only by the poor and foolish, but also the rich and smart. When people are standing in polling lines, they are not buying stuff or working, and the economy is hindered. Number 10. Compromise in Washington. Despite the popular narrative that the Electoral College and other winner-take-all systems of election result in increased polarization, they actually support moderate policies. Because the fruit of this deeply rooted tree is so often in opposition to the results of a more democratic system like those used for congressional races, progress is halted after the elections and no radical change can be accomplished. Accordingly, only watered-down policies with widespread but unenthusiastic support that result in no significant changes to the system, leaving both sides disillusioned with the very idea of the American political system, can pass. As a result, the policy in the US is more moderated, which is a good thing. Number 11. Less guilt. People don't like responsibility. With the Electoral College, millions of non-voters avoid guilt for a candidate they don't like winning because they live in high-margin states. Remember, the purpose of government is to make the people happy, and for this reason the Electoral College is a fundamentally good idea. Number 12. Solving important issues. The politicians in this nation only have so much time to focus on so many issues, so we have to ask ourselves if repealing and replacing the Electoral College is really worth it. It's probably not going to happen, so we shouldn't try. Despite the popular opinion, complacency is happiness. On that hopeful note, we end this list of the only legitimate and logically consistent benefits of the Electoral College. If you oppose it, I hope this video provided you with the alternate perspective. If you support it, I hope you use these arguments to try to convince others.